especially CIPC documents that were submitted, right, indicated whether he was the sole director or there was somebody else, right? I wouldn't with certainty say that. But what I know is that he is said to be the director of the company. But back then, I'm not sure as to what is it that the company registration document was saying in terms of directorship, whether there were other people on the directorship or not. It happened some time back.
Obviously, what we see, obviously, with your evidence, is starting to go towards, I don't know, I didn't know, and all of this. Can I accept that then equally you wouldn't be able to dispute it with certainty?
Yes, I won't be able to dispute it with certainty.
Can I also put this proposition to you, that in terms of your own policy and the SAM regulations, companies linked to people in the service of the state ought not to be appointed?
Maybe before he answers, so that we understand the import of this part of the discussion, considering, and I'm looking at the same article, Mrs. Kakan, considering that Mr. Modise, at the time of the evaluation of this tender, according to this article, in fact, in his award, he wasn't a councillor. And I haven't seen a suggestion that he was an employee of the state at that time, at the time of the award of the tender. Is this a line of questions that should occupy us? I'm looking at your article. If you look at the fourth page, it says, and assuming this article is correct, it says when the Tshwane Council awarded Triotic the contract in February 22, Modise was secretary of the ANC in the Tshwane region, a position he has held since 2018. Now, unless you precede your question with putting to the witness as a fact that at the time of the award, he was a councillor, if he was, or an employee of the state, you have to precede it with that before you say employees are not, employees of the state, are not, people in the service of the state are not allowed to contract. It has to be preceded by establishing the fact that this person was in the service of the state. And if that is the suggestion, I think rather put that to you.
Let me put that as a proposition and I'll come back to it. If one assumes that, just to follow a caution from Commissioner Baloyi, Mr. Modise was in the service of the state. So, in one way, would you agree that, or anyone, for example, who is a director, would you agree that he ought not to, Triotic would not have been appointed?
I agree.
Okay, thank you.
Is it a fact that Mr. Modise was a councillor in 2022?
Let me come back to that properly on that.
I think that was Commissioner Baloyi's difficulty.
Question. Okay.
Because we know that this tender was awarded to the 22 security companies after the court order. And at that time, the question is, was he or was he not a councillor or an employee of the municipality? Because if he was not, then as Commissioner Baloyi suggests, it's questionable whether we should be entertaining this line of questioning, unless it can be put to Director Malachi that he was in fact an employee and therefore he should not have participated in the tender.
Correct. No, I'll withdraw that at this point, Commissioner, and I'll accept that. Can we then go back to your page 15, paragraph 15 of your statement?
The said entities were again appointed under TMPD 2, 2016-2017. They have rendered services since their appointment by the court on the 22nd of October 2021. They are currently rendering the same security guarding services to the municipality.
Okay, proceed.
The next heading, the nature and extent of my involvement in the bid specification in respect of TMPD 2, 2016-2017. As indicated in paragraph 6, 7, and 8 above, I was involved in the bid specification in respect of TMPD 2, 2016-2017. I assisted the department as requested by the then Deputy Chief Rex Mahlaule, and I was later appointed as a member of the BEC. My role as a member of the BEC in respect of TMPD 2, 2016-17, the evaluation process which led to the shortlisting of the 22 entities. Point 17, my role as the BEC member was to ensure compliance to the bid evaluation criteria as stipulated in the tender specification. It was a collective responsibility together with other appointed members. The evaluation process which led to the shortlisting of the 22 bidders was guided by the bid specification documents which were provided to the BEC by the Bid Specification Committee. Our evaluation criteria were based on administration, compulsory documents, and technical functionality. It was a normal evaluation process guided by supply chain management policy. The report was then adopted, handed over to the chairperson of the BEC. We followed the required procedures. I believe that the court would have not awarded the tender to the recommended entities if the required procedures were not followed or complied with.
On that, Mr. Malachi, I just want to say that you and I sitting here have no idea what informed the court order which was granted or made by agreement. We do not know what those who agreed said to the court. So I'm not sure that you are in a position to pronounce on whether the required procedures were followed.
I agree with the Commissioner.
Just 1 point, for example. What is required is that there should be an adjudication or adjudicative process. You and I know that there wasn't, for example. So we don't know what informed the agreement which resulted in the court order. So I'm not sure that you are in a position to make that statement. Do you agree? Do you agree?
I agree with the Commissioner.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Malachi. That's perhaps the point. Maybe I may ask it differently, Chair. Can I refer you to the second document I handed, which is CJC 5? That's the supply chain regulations. Can I request that you go to clause 28 2.
Two.
Yes.
It reads as follows. A bid evaluation committee must, as far as possible, be composed of officials from departments requiring the goods or services, and at least one supply chain management practitioner of the municipality or municipal entity.
And would you accept that if any of those requirements are not there, there would be some issue with that, with the composition of the PEC?
I agree.
And just to follow on the question from the chair, which is at paragraph 29, in the ordinary sense, and obviously I can't probe you more on that because of your agreement with the chair, the PEC report paragraph 29 talks about that the PEC report must be considered by the bid adjudication committee. You accept that?
I do.
And you'd accept that there would be some difficulty if the PAC is not involved?
I agree, yes.
Just outside the circumstances, well, I suppose I can't take it further because you are not involved in the decisions leading to the court order. Correct. Now, just before I go to another part, at paragraph 19 of your statement, you don't have to go there, you indicate that I was involved in all the meetings and resolutions of the PEC in respect of the same tender.
Yes.
Does that tally with you, with your knowledge of what you've stated about you not being involved in some of the decisions that were taken?
My understanding of this was meetings, resolutions of the BEC to which I was appointed. The BEC in respect of TMPT 2, 2016, 2017. So with that, I'm saying I attended the meetings and I was part of the resolutions that were taken.
Okay, that's fine. Then if you go to page 79 of file 2, page 79 of file 2. This is a report or memorandum that was sent by apparently Tembegam Faithful.
Yes, I can see.
And had you seen this report before?
No.
So
I'm seeing it for the first time, Commissioner.
You're seeing it for the first time?
Yes.
Okay. You'll see that it talks about what transpired in the evaluation of Tender 2, 2016-2017. Correct? And if you go, should I give you a moment to go through it quickly?
Okay.
Commissioner Barrow, are you having difficulty? Is it there? I'm saying, is there difficulty with pagination or?
No,
Or you have?
Not this time.
not
What-
this time.
What part of the report did you ask Mr. Malachi to read?
No, I'm just going to ask him to, I was just asking him to familiarize with the report, and then I'm going to take him to specific paragraphs.
Can't you come to this point at a later stage? Perhaps I'm looking, this is what, close to 3 pages long, which may entail Mr. Malachi having to read the whole document.
Chair, let me just take him to the relevant section.
Please.
We can, apologies. Okay, if you go to the second page,
Okay.
there's a discussion and analysis from this report. And it says, SCM, second paragraph, SCM assessed the process followed violations of the tender evaluation stage were noted, thus rendering the bid as non-compliant. And they highlight that there was unauthorized removal of the bid documents from SCM premises to a venue that had not been confirmed as appropriate. But just on a point, I think you differed with the chair that you found the venue that was there to be unsafe, and you shared the same sentiment as the chair of the PEC.
Yes, the BC found the supply chain management premises
Okay.
unsafe to proceed. Hence, the documents were removed.
And was there some integrity assurances about moving the documents or the bids?
And my memory serves me well. Supply chain management was I would say it was involved. I remember whilst discussing the issue, there was a gentleman, I forgot his name, but a senior guy within the supply chain management acquisition department or directorate. And this thing talked, if my memory still serves me well, he even went to an extent of seeing the venue at Primus and gave it a go ahead. That's how far I can remember. But SCM was involved, more especially the management, before the removal of the documentation.
Okay. Then at page 81, it says that there was non-compliance since there was a resignation of an SCM official from the process, from the PEC. And it goes through that. If indeed that is the case, would you then say it would have been, the PEC would have been improperly constituted in line with what we earlier read about paragraph 28(2) of the regulations?
I agree in terms of.
Okay. If you go to the recommendations, or perhaps just the last bullet point, it reads, the committee failed to execute its duties in accordance with the terms and conditions of the PEC appointment letter. Would you accept that if that had been a failure, it would mean that the PEC had some challenges?
Yes.
Okay. Do you see the recommendations that say, in light of the above, it is our view that the bid was not evaluated in accordance with the prescribed SCM policies and procedures? Would you accept that then that would follow?
Yes, okay.
And then the second line says, in a concerted effort to combat the abuse of supply chain management system SCM recommends that. Now, this is supply chain management.
Okay.
So they are quite aware that they were not involved, that this bid be cancelled in its entirety. And then it then states what steps should have been taken.
Okay. Can you repeat your statement, sir?
Now, I'm saying SCM
Yes.
notes these recommendations, those irregularities, which you've agreed with.
Okay.
And then what they recommend as the ultimate step is that the bid be cancelled.
Okay.
And I think we went to the litigation that Commissioner Babloi was talking about cancellation of this tender. What I would then, with the benefit of hindsight, perhaps, let's forget the court process. Correct. With these irregularities, it would be quite unfortunate that 800 million or so, a tender of that nature, would have been awarded in the light of these irregularities.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, thank you. Check, I think that's, before I move on to the other section, I don't know whether, or should I just continue?
Please continue. We
Thank
still have 9 minutes, and some of these points look quite short, depending on what else you take Mr. Malachi to.
Can I request that he continue reading with his statements? I think we've done the integrity, but I think for the record, it's important that he puts it on from paragraph 20
Of my statement.
of your statement. Apologies.
Okay, thank you.
So just read the heading first, or did you do so already?
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
The integrity of the bids received handed over to the BEC, whether the bids provided to the BEC were sealed, whether the BEC addressed the unsealed. The integrity of the received bid was not compromised in that the bid received all the bids which tallied with the compiled list. Hence, we proceeded with our functions. The bids are normally received sealed by supply chain management administrative officials. They get unsealed by supply chain administration to inter alia to compile a bid register and general administrative compliance before they are handed over to the BEC. As a result, the bids handed to the BEC were not sealed.
So, sorry. When you say the bids are normally received sealed by the SCM administration officials, at what stage do they get sealed? I'm asking because the bidders would submit them, and are they? I assume they are not sealed at that stage, or are they sealed at that stage?
No. I'm referring to. I'm referring to the fact that some of the bids would be sealed, and they would seal differently.
You are not saying some. You say the bids are normally received sealed by the SCM administration officials.
Yes.
At which point or at what stage would they have been sealed?
I think at the point when they are submitted, when the bid closes, when they submit them.
Each bidder submits a sealed
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
bid.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, and when you say normally, that seems to admit of exceptions. What do you mean normally?
Normally, I mean to say, under normal circumstances,
Exactly my point. You can't answer me by using the same term that I'm questioning. So what do you mean normally?
normally mean it's an acceptable norm, right? Bids are submitted sealed, but they,
They may sometimes be submitted unsealed.
yes, it's true, most likely.
All right, thank you. I think you were to start with the next heading, circumstances.
Circumstances around the missing bids and or documents and removal of the bids from supply chain management premises, which were noted by BEC, and the impact of all of this on the procurement process. I am not aware of any missing bids documents regarding the removal of the bids from supply chain management premises. The BEC took bids from supply chain management premises to Tshwane Leadership Academy, Bremos. Movement of the bids was necessitated by security issues observed by the BEC. For instance, movement of SCM officials in and out of the storage was not controlled. Cameras in the building were not working, and the supply chain management officials had unlimited access to the storage facility. I'm referring to the BEC, made a request to move from the supply chain management building, which was approved by the chairperson of the BEC, and the removal of this bid did not have any negative impact on the work of the BEC. Whether I delegated...
Apologies, Mr. Malachik. I just have a few questions on this subject. Now, in terms of did you share the sentiments of the chair around the premises being unsecure?
You mean the chairperson of the
Yeah.
BEC? Yes, the chairperson of the BEC. Actually, he is the one, right, who was saying, since there are these security issues that I am also observing, right? It would be in the interest of doing quality work by considering to move. But now, he then took it up with supply chain management officials, right, to entertain the issue of where the BEC could be moved and so forth and so on. Hence, at the end of the day, decision was taken to move the function to Primos, and it was moved there, and from there we went on with our work.
Thank you. And did the chairperson have the authority to do that?
I am not sure. I'm not sure, Commissioner.
I say this because in the report that we went through earlier on in file 2, it is the very flag that SCM raised, that the documents or the bids were moved without authorization and communication from the head of SCM.
Hence, I'm saying I am not sure if he had the what you call the authority to do that, but what I'm aware of, right, he interacted with one senior official within the supply chain management before the actual movement was effected.
Okay. No, that's fine. I think I can't take it further than that. If maybe just on the, before we part, we break for lunch, if the BEC had no authority, as the report suggests, right? And let's forget the court order to remove the bids. Do you accept the following possibilities that the integrity of the bids could have been compromised?
I accept.
Thank you. I think, Chair, then the next paragraph we deal with the powers, the ad hoc powers to Mr. Piri. which is a new topic, so to speak.
Okay, or is the next one not the one that says whether I delegated powers?
Correct.
Sorry, all right, just above paragraph 24.
Yes.
All right. Let's deal with it when we resume after lunch. Let's adjourn until 2 p.m.
Thank you.
Database for disclosures to improve coordination and prevent duplication of investigations. This database will be developed and maintained by the Director General of the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development, who will designate officials to oversee its operation, monitoring, and functionality. Importantly, no personal information of a disclosure will be stored on the database.
An off-duty soldier has been gunned down in Delft South on the Cape Flats last night. Police spokesperson Wesley Twigg says the 37-year-old soldier, who was shot multiple times and was declared dead on the scene, was not part of the Operation Prosper deployment on the Cape Flats. Twigg says no arrests have been made.
On arrival on the scene, officers found a 37-year-old male who had sustained multiple gunshot wounds. The victim was declared deceased on the scene by medical personnel. The circumstances surrounding the incident are under investigation. Preliminary investigation revealed that the deceased is a member of the SANDF who was off duty at the time of the incident and has no link to Operation Prosper.
Suspended Director for Asset Protection Services at the Tshwane Metro Police Department, Chukwudu Malachi, has testified that he never received any complaint about missing documents relating to the 2016-2017 security tender. Testimony before the Madlanga Commission suggests that documents for the multi-million rand security tender were removed from the bid evaluation committee, which Malachi is a part of. Malachi has been implicated in alleged tender rigging in the TMPD. He has, however, confirmed that the tender documents were moved from municipal offices and taken to Primos College due to security concerns.
And when the actual process of evaluation started, each document was gone through, and I am not aware of any missing documents that, as the committee, we could see or realize that documents were missing. I never became aware of that.
An NGO that advocates for medical assistance in dying, Dignity SA, has launched a legal challenge in the High Court in Pretoria to decriminalise the action. In the court papers, the organisation and other interested parties want the Constitutional Court to declare the current law, which prohibits medical assistance in dying, unconstitutional and invalid. The organisation made the announcement at a media briefing in Cape Town. Co-founder of Dignity SA, Professor Willem Landman, says medical assistance in dying would give terminally ill patients a dignified way of dying and end their suffering and pain.
So we asked the court to direct Parliament to write a law legalising medical assistance in dying within 24 months. But because there would be a vacuum between the declaration of invalidity of this aspect of the common law and Parliament completing its writing of a medical assistance in dying law, we ask that this declaration of invalidity be suspended for the duration of the 24 months that Parliament needs to write the law.
The South African National AIDS Council, SANEC, has welcomed the arrival of the groundbreaking HIV prevention drug, lenacapavir. The 2-yearly injectable is said to be a game changer in HIV prevention, particularly for high-burden countries like South Africa. SANEC is pushing for local manufacturing to enhance sustainability and affordability. Gertrude Mgola is the health products grant specialist at SANEC.
We foresee that it is going to reduce the infection rate. The efficacy of the injection is near perfect, almost 100%. We know we're not going to rely on you coming every day. So once you get the injection once every 6 months, you're protected for 6 months.
Recapping the top story, the Sawa Justice Minister Mamoloko Kubai says a central database will be established for whistleblowers from both the private and public sectors to confidentially disclose information of wrongdoing, as well as report fraud and corruption. Kubai made the announcement this morning when she released the new Protected Disclosure Bill. For SAFM News, I'm Jolani Tulo Mwepe.
SAFM values your views. Be an active citizen.
With OutSurance, I'm saving a whole 729 Rand.
Another satisfied OutSurance client saving more money every month. 32-year-old Perushka saves 729 Rand a month on her 2020 Haval H2. And after 3 claim-free years, she gets an out bonus.
Yes, I'm ready for that out bonus.
How much money could OutSurance save you? Get a quote now. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. Licensed insurer FSP. TCs and information online.
As you're getting to wherever you're going, all these trucks you're dodging, that's billions of rands in motion. Imagine that flow stopping because drivers must swap SIMs for better signal. That's an expensive pause that your business can't afford. Don't let bad tech choices get in the way. Switch to a reliable, stable network because nothing should stop your business. Call 084-1234. Cell C.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable. You receive up to 745,000 Rand worth of legal services per year. Our range of plans include cover for you, your spouse, children, and extended family. Plans include cover for civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Whether it's protection orders, gender-based violence, uncontested divorce, or poor service, your Clientele Legal lawyer will be there to assist you. Our services are convenient. Simply pick up the phone and call your lawyer or send us an email and we'll get back to you. All plans include a bail benefit of up to 5,000 Rand and we'll go to the police station and pay it for you. Plus, Clientele Legal offers you 24-hour telephonic legal advice. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Wherever you are in the world, SAFM 104 to 107 is accessible. We're also streaming live on Facebook, X, and YouTube at SAFM Radio. We acknowledge and appreciate everyone tuning in and watching our streams. Stay with SAFM 104 to 107 as we bring you commission live, breaking stories, and thought-provoking lectures. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
Hey, a hearty good afternoon to you. I hope you're having yourselves a fine day. Can you believe that we already on Thursday? Thursday, 1 week down of April. Get the feeling that April is going to be one of those months that gallops on by ever so fast. We've got a little bit of a tight show today because we are coming in as the Madlanga Commission is taking their lunch break, and we're going to be catching up with Usibahle Mota as per usual, just rounding up day 87 thus far at the Madlanga Commission and what has transpired. And then we are going to be having a family meeting, you and I. We haven't had one of these in a bit of a while, so we thought it's only good for us to touch base and get a sense for what is on your mind and what are you thinking about this issue. I don't know if you've heard of the call by the Independent South African National Civic Organization, aka ASANCO, and they have made a call for the return of school prayers and corporal punishment. So they want there, for instance, at school assembly, for there to be some kind of school prayers and corporal punishment for those who step out of line. And they say that this speaks to curbing criminality, corruption, and the moral decay that we are seeing
countrywide, and that there should be a return to some kind of Christian value. So that is the family meeting that we want to have with you today. We want to get your perspective on 061-410-4107 is our WhatsApp line where you can share your thoughts. If you can send us a voice note, that'd be great. Or you can give us a call on 086-000-2032, our in-studio call line. Want to know from you, do you think a return to corporal punishment in schools or a return to saying school prayers? You know, I was in school in the 90s. We used to hold assembly, and at our assembly, we used to recite Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. I don't know if that speaks to creating better citizens, more conscious citizens, more morally aware citizens. But that is certainly the call from the Independent South African National Civic Association. Would love to hear your thoughts as a parent, as a guardian, as just a general person, what you think of it. We also have a poll on X, if you are on social media, X formerly known as Twitter. We have a poll there, so you can weigh in there as well, your thoughts around Asanko's calls for schools to return to praying and corporal punishment. We'll take your calls and we'll take your voice notes on 061-410-4107. It's gone 10 past 1 o'clock. A quick pause and then we come back with Usibahle Mota.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
Clientele is here to safeguard you and your family with compassion because life happens. Be part of a family that truly cares. Our funeral dignity plans have helped South Africans bury their loved ones with dignity for more than 30 years. Let us help you create a meaningful tribute that honors your life and those of your loved ones. We pay out within 24 hours and you will get double accident cover with a clientele funeral plan. Our plans are affordable. Pick the option that suits your needs. Easy to apply, no medical examinations and no paperwork. SMS SAFM to 48031. That's 48031. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Moro, Moni, Dumela, Bonjour, Habari. You arrived in South Africa to build something better. New place, new challenges, new responsibilities. Now you can with the Mama Money bank account. Pay your rent, take care of your daily needs, build your life, and when your family needs you, you don't wait. You send money home, quickly, securely, from wherever you are. Because this is more than money, it's progress. Buy your Mama Money card today at Pick n Pay or a Mama Money agent. Mama Money, now you can.
This Freedom Month, we reflect, we remember, and we celebrate how far we've come. 30 years into democracy, South Africa continues to shape a future grounded in justice, equality, and opportunity for all. Under the theme, Freedom and the Rule of Law. 30 years of democratic citizenship. SAFM will bring you all things freedom, the voices, the stories, and the conversations that matter. Join us as we honor the journey and explore what freedom means today. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
All right, let's catch up with Usibahle Mota around all things Madlanga. And yesterday, we saw Tshwane Metro Deputy Police Chief Commissioner Sean Bolhuis, who testified at the commission that he never gave permission for the allocation of work to Gubi's 85 Solutions. And today's witness is suspended Director of Security and Guarding Services at Tshwane Metro Deputy Police Chukuru Malachi, who's on the stand right now. How are you doing this afternoon, Sibahle?
Good afternoon to you, Bridget, and thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for the time. So before we even get to Malachi, let's just get to some of the issues that were brought before the commission this morning that encompass part of the housekeeping that the justices had to attend to.
Yes, so we got off to a bit of a delayed start in that Mr. Lebogang Phiri as well as Gareth Nisi first presented themselves before the commission. And essentially, Mr. Lebogang Phiri is one of the people who have been implicated in the security tender scandal in the city of Tshwane. So evidence by Sean Bolhuis yesterday suggested that Mr. Malachi had actually delegated certain functions to Piri when he did not have the powers to perform those functions. And this includes allocating various sites to Goody's 85 Security Solutions, which is one of the most controversial security companies that is believed to have, scored this security tender through, rigging. So that is what was addressed, and then it has been confirmed that Lebogang Phiri will come back to the commission on the 20th of April to present his side of the story and possibly be questioned about his functions and him allocating these sites to this particular security company. And then we also got to see Gareth Mnisi, the suspended CFO in the city of Tshwane, presenting himself. As you know, he's also, one of the Tshwane officials who have been accused of corruption and favoring Goody's 85 Solutions. And if you remember, Bridget, these were seen, or this rather was seen in screenshots between Gareth Mnisi that went through Sergeant Goti to now suspended Deputy Police Chief Umashi Dlamini. So Gareth Mnisi is the one who is going to have to, just answer quite substantively about this security contract, multi-million rand security contracts before the Madlanga Commission that implicates him in alleged corrupt activities.
Interesting, especially as you talk about Gareth Mnisi, the suspended CFO. I'm desperately trying to search for a tweet I bookmarked yesterday by analyst and commentator at Mighty Jamie, and he shared information and public documentation around a divorce settlement, proceeding, a divorce settlement between a CFO. He did not name him, but, he definitely alluded to him, a CFO of a large Gauteng metro and his grade 10 educated wife. As those are his words, not mine. And the assets that were listed under this divorce settlement included 2 times Porsches, one valued at 6 million rand, 1 times BMW, 2 times Range Rovers, 2 times BMW i25s, 1 BMW X6, 1 Mercedes-Benz CLA, 1 Toyota Hilux, 1 Volkswagen Golf 8R, and a number of other assets, including a Maserati Levante that was acquired in 2023. And of course, this pertains to the CFO in question, who is, at the heart of the Tshwane situation. It is interesting how this information, as it comes out in real time at the Madlanga, you also have South African citizens now taking it upon themselves to go digging for information to enlighten us a little bit more about some of the things that we're hearing coming out of the commission.
No, definitely. I think regarding Gareth Mnisi, we've heard just a little or just a drop of what he has been involved in, and that is alleged tender rigging, where, there was even evidence from Sergeant Goti to allege that there was a point where they were interested in a tender in Mpumalanga. So what you are seeing is that a lot of these officials seemingly took advantage of these tender processes, and also it goes back to internal controls that they managed to bypass. If you remember, even with the evidence of Yolande Farrow yesterday, she couldn't respond to certain, questions because I think she did not understand how certain internal sort of processes took place. So I think he'll definitely have to answer quite a lot regarding that and his lavish lifestyle that has allegedly just been beamed on social media.
Yeah.
But I think just to go back to the testimony of Mr. Chukudu Malachi, so a previous testimony from Revo Spees had alleged that, Malachi, who sits in the bid evaluation committee, had received all these tender documents from a total of 22 security companies that were bidding for this multi-million rand tender. And what Revo Spees had alleged is the fact that some of those tender documents, when they came back to the municipality, had been certain documents had been removed and they were missing. And subsequently, we found the High Court saying that they can't continue with this sort of tender, but ultimately also ruling that it's better for the city of Tshwane to just allocate the tender amongst the 22 companies. So he's at the heart of this missing documents, and he's been questioned about those missing documents. And basically, he's denied that anybody has ever come to him to say there were missing tender documents, and he's never had any complaints about it. But interestingly enough, is that these tender documents that were at the municipality removed from the municipality and taken to a college for safekeeping because they had cited security concerns. And when they came back, they were missing, papers and documents from those bid evaluation, documents. So that is what he has been questioned about. And he's also denying. I mean, he's the man who was essentially the face of this tender, right? Because he sat in the BEC, and also he was the contact person for the tender if anybody had, any additional questions. And he also tells the commission that he didn't even know about this court bid that these companies had launched against the city of Tshwane. I mean, obviously now raising questions about why he'd be, he has knowledge of certain information and not knowledge of other information. So I think there's quite a lot of cracks in his testimony before the Madlanga Commission.
Absolutely. Spahle, we'll have to leave it there for this afternoon, but we appreciate you. That was Spahle Mota, SABC News reporter. It's gone 20 past 1 o'clock. Our WhatsApp line is open on 061 410 4107. And of course, you can give us a call on 086 000 2032. The family meeting for this afternoon is that we are discussing Asanko's calls for a return of school prayers and corporal punishment. What are your thoughts on this? And you can go over to our social media platform as well on X. We're running a poll there to gauge your sentiment around this matter. Yes, it will speak to more discipline. No, that is abusive. And 3, it makes no difference at all. A quick pause. We come back with Asanko.
Clientele is here to safeguard you and your family with compassion because life happens. Be part of a family that truly cares. Our funeral dignity plans have helped South Africans bury their loved ones with dignity for more than 30 years. Let us help you create a meaningful tribute that honors your life and those of your loved ones. We pay out within 24 hours and you will get double accident cover with a clientele funeral plan. Our plans are affordable. Pick the option that suits your needs. Easy to apply, no medical examinations and no paperwork. SMS SAFM to 48031. That's 48031. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
The Family Meeting on The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga.
All right, we are live on 061 410 4107. Dr. Zukile Luyenge joins us now with the Independent South African National Civic Association, which has made a call for the return of school prayers and corporal punishment, saying that crime, corruption, and moral decay in general demand a return to Christian values. How are you doing this afternoon, Dr. Zukile?
God is great, Bridget, and thanks very much for having me. And how are you?
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, firstly, maybe let's get a bit of an understanding, just a brief understanding of the organization Asanko and the values that you represent. And also, I guess, whom do you speak for at large? Are you mainly speaking for the Christian community, Christian observing community?
Asanko is a civil society organization which is also registered to partake in elections at all levels of the spheres. As of now, being myself a person in Dr. Zukile Luyenge, I'm a rural boy from the Bundles of the Eastern Cape. I like God, I am saved. I must be out on that. But now I am not talking solely for those that are believing in God or in Christianity. I'm representing all communities as the civil society cuts across all sectors of our communities are part of us as Asanko. We are not a political party. We don't follow a particular political ideology, but we promote what we call a people-driven development, which is a social cohesion kind of an approach.
All right. With that said, then the next question becomes, your call is for return of school prayers. Before we even get to corporal punishment, your return of school prayers that speak to a demand for return to Christian values. So if you are a people-driven organization representing the broad spectrum of society outside of Christianity, then how does the call to return to prayer that speaks to Christian value then speak to somebody perhaps in the Jewish community, in the Islam community, in the Hindu community, and so forth and so on?
Bridget, between 80 and 85% of South Africans are predominantly subscribed to the Christianity faith, either were baptized at their earliest ages or converted at their adult ages. This alone, Bridget, tells you that our society has disconnected with the government when it abolished morning prayers in our schools. The government may deny it by the consequences of this era of judgment that has led to the decay of moral fiber. So the abolishment of corporal punishment in our schools, Bridget, worsened the situation. It was even worse when the children were given permission to access termination of pregnancy without the consent of their parents as early as the age of 12. Mm-hmm. There is no better time to raise these issues, Bridget, than at this moment when Christians are celebrating while others are commemorating the death of Jesus Christ. Anyway, it's no longer about his death, but his resurrection from the dead.
Yeah. Not to deflect to obviously the holiday that was just observed by Christians that's just passed by Easter, but just to stick to this particular call that you are making, especially considering the time constraints that we have, just so that we all understand your definition of corporal punishment. What does that speak to?
The corporal punishment is particularly referring to death penalty, a death penalty which was also abolished during this era of our democracy, which we also participated in. And we're coming from the apartheid era, where we were also victims of corporal punishment, even though we did not have the chances to engage the authorities on the policies and on the policies that should be applied in the correctional centers. So now we feel that looking at the current scenario where people are being butchered by thugs in our country, and when we have laws that are favorable to those that have been that were supposed to be punished, but those who were not supposed to be punished, and the applicants in our courts, the respondents, are the ones that are actually covered and treated in a manner that you would say it is luxury. Mm-hmm. Therefore, we cannot, during the era of our democracy, say the status quo should continue, where the high levels of crime, the high levels of number of young people, the elderly that are being raped on daily basis, the section 5 and 6 category of our laws, where the murders that are taking place in our country, and that goes hand in glove with a high level of corruption. Okay. You see that this goes also with the issue of money that is being exchanged. People are looking at each other. They don't trust each other now, because once you see someone whom you see...
Dr. Zukile, I don't mean to jump in your mouth. I'm just also cognizant of the time. And I do want to have our listener engage you on this particular issue. So I get it now. The call is in two parts. one that speaks to specifically a school-going community, so school children, and you are making the call to return to Christian values at schools by way of returning to school prayers and such content, and you are making simultaneously a call for what you call corporal punishment, but that speaks to a death penalty within the prison system of South Africa. So the harshest forms of penalty that is permissible within the prison system of South Africa. Let's go to the headline news, and then we'll come back on the other side and we'll go to WhatsApp 06141041107.
Good afternoon. Making headlines, some members of Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Police have questioned whether the deployment of the SANDF on the Cape Flats is intelligence-driven and whether there is an operational plan in place. This as at least 8 people were killed and 5 injured this past weekend. Justice Minister Mamoloko Kubai says a central database will be established for whistleblowers from both the private and public sectors to confidentially disclose information of wrongdoing as well as report fraud and corruption. Kubai made the announcement this morning when she released the new Protected Disclosure Bill. And finally, Madlanga Commission Chairperson Justice Mbuyiseli Madlanga says that he finds it strange that Chukudu Malachi, who's testifying at the Commission, had no knowledge of the litigation brought against the city regarding the 2016-2017 security tender. This is despite Malachi sitting in the Bid Evaluation Committee and being the contact person for the tender. I will have details on these and other stories at 2 o'clock.
Let's have the conversation. WhatsApp voice notes on 0614 104 107.
Good morning. Now you are talking. That will be wonderful, so that they can be like us who studied under apartheid, who were praying, who are highly disciplined, right up to our old age of 60 years, who are still disciplined. People in parliament come from that generation who were praying at school. That's why there was no evil in our time. That will be wonderful. I'm with Sanko for the first time after democracy. Somebody's got brains and reality and a clean heart. Pastor, Cape Town.
Hi, just heard that topic of corporal punishment coming back into schools. I raised my children, who are now adults, without any corporal punishment. I shouldn't say I should say we did. I cannot understand why you would want to hurt someone to get them to understand how to behave. And then tell me, at what age do you then stop hitting people? Because apparently we mustn't hit each other as adults. So really, it's a very confusing message that's coming out of that organization. And they're doing it from a religious point of view, which makes it worse.
Greetings to you, sister. What a laugh. Can I say a joke it is? Semco asking for prayers to return to school. They are forgetting, and something in fact they are reluctant to bring up, is that in June 2020, Mr. Cyril brought Illuminati in South Africa. Yes, the Antichrist is now legalized. There's actually churches here in South Africa concerning such. Semco has mentioned nothing of such. Kosatu mentioned nothing of such. And they just enjoy voting and deceiving. Now you tell me what a waste of time that is. Pepilon Aldos.
Hi, good day, SAFM. From myself, or my side, I think the corporal punishment is good. Because if we fail to make sure that we discipline our kids at home, then at school they will be disciplined. Because now we're failing to discipline our kids at home, and then they just take that one. Charity begins at home. Then it means that they're gonna just go on doing like that even at school. And then that's why we have bullying, because they know these people are not disciplined even from home. They want to show how they lead their lives at home. So I think that one will be good. If ever a child doesn't do right, then that person must make sure that must be disciplined at school. Then the child will be right.
I mean, the truth of the matter, it almost seems like, as one anticipated, that it will be a polarizing conversation with folks holding views on either side of the stick here. 0614104107 is our WhatsApp line. We still welcome your thoughts on this. It's a mixed bag of reactions there, Dr. Zukile. And I think more than the folks that are on your side, but the folks that are raising cautionary tale. How would you go about convincing them? For instance, the lady who says, I've raised kids without corporal punishment, so I'm confused as to this mixed messaging where on the one hand you say, spare the rod, spoil the child, but on the other hand we go on to say that we pretty much have raised a violent society because of our violent heritage. So how do you balance the two? How do you raise a child within the context of violence and then expect them to be non-violent as adults?
Bridget, thanks very much for the comments that I've just heard about us as Isango raising this matter. We are raising this matter because we are part of the community ourselves. We've got children, and we also have an obligation to ensure that as parents, we are the third in the school governing body, where we have a platform to raise issues of this nature. So we are on daily basis, dealing with issues of decay of moral fiber amongst children. More especially, there is involvement of children that are coming from outside, or the level of crime that is affecting our schools. Because as a result, that there is no prayers that are conducted in schools.
But may I ask, may I throw a spanner in the works here to say, if we are to address a decay of, and I think no one is disagreeing with you on that, the decay of moral fiber in society in general. I don't think any South African is disagreeing with you on that point. But is there no other way to parent and to guardianship as families and as community, school, church, and every other extended social structure? To parent in a way that speaks to doing that, to entrenching morality, to entrenching discipline, respect, without the physical element, or without, as someone says here, they sent a WhatsApp to say they don't have a problem with prayer coming back to school. They just have a problem with Christianity being the agenda that's being pushed. Because what about other African religious churches, like the Shembe Church, for instance? Or the ZCC, and if prayer sessions are to return, they should be separated like they do in universities, and everybody goes their own way where they belong. So the Islamic kids go do their prayer, the Hindu kids go do their observation. Talk to us about that element. Is there no way to return those moral values back outside of a prayer, a 5-minute prayer in school, and outside of some kind of physical punishment?
Yes, no one, Bridget, who is promoting, say, corporal punishment in the sense of, say, people or teachers must beat children, or children must be beaten at school when they misbehave. No, that might be a mistake that have actually happened, because in as far as this engagement here, corporal punishment refers to the return of the death penalty, not bringing corporal punishment that children must be beaten at school. We are saying in schools, return the prayers, or promote social values by making use of churches. Churches must partake in the activities of the school, so that the problems that might come up in schools are problems that will also be addressed at family values as well at a street level. And then that you are able then to engage even your local structures of government, your municipalities, on matters that affect your children at school, because though the schools are in another department, but the role that is played by the communities is cutting across. We are promoting not necessarily the praying for 5 minutes on daily basis from Monday to Friday. No, we are referring to those prayers. There are also activities that are prayers in their own creation, because the practicing of social activities by children at school, we need to have sporting activities. On Wednesdays, we used to play sports in our schools, and that is aligned with the promotion of social values, much as sport is also taking place in churches. Now there is we don't want to see this bridge that is between our children and teachers.
All right.
Because now we have teachers that are as young as our kids.
Dr. Zugile, unfortunately, as you know, that time is not in our favor at the moment. But you've definitely, I think, the reason why we wanted to have the conversation was to do exactly that, open it up for conversation. In society and in our own intimate spaces, so we can interrogate whether or not, as we move forward as South Africans, this is something that would be beneficial for the greater good of all. So for that, we thank you for the time, Dr. Zugile Luyenge, who is with the Independent South African National Civic Organization. And we see your voice notes indeed. We're going to try to sneak in one or two at some point. Let's take a quick pause and then we come back on the other side.
You can become a victim of a legal problem: wrongful arrest, assault, uncontested divorce, rental disputes, maintenance matters, or labor problems. It can happen to you. Clientele Legal provides tough professional lawyers for an affordable monthly premium. Our legal team is standing by to assist you 24 hours a day. Join today. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
SAFM.
All right, we were trying to get friend of the show, James Ngobo, artistic director at the Joburg Theatre, which is why we played Hugh Masekela, because we wanted to talk around the tribute to Bra Hugh Masekela, which is launching tonight. That was a snippet of Grazing in the Grass. But in the interim, let's go back to your voice notes regarding our family meeting, where we're talking about a return to Christian values and prayers in schools as a way, perhaps, of directing our young society, our young South Africans to go back to a place of discipline, a place of morality, and good value systems. 0614104107.
So-called corporal punishment, does it only apply now? You guys, you want it in township school or even Model C schools and private schools? Because in the township schools, you've got teachers that are very abusive.
Yeah, the way this Malati is responding to the question, it is
Hello, Sis Bridget. Mbongo Sundisa Mbuyisa. Yeah. Anyway, these are our Father who art in heaven. You just get lost. You still don't know what it means. Who art in heaven? Then you think, Haibo, which means art will never go in heaven. It's like somebody is shocked. I really still, even now, I still can't understand who art in heaven. Haibo, then you think, Haibo, but art is my cousin. Now they are shocked. Who art in heaven? This means he will never be there.
Hi, Bridget. I am not for corporal punishment because I still feel the pain that the teacher who taught me in grade 3 inflicted me. I still feel the pain. I still feel the pain that my mother inflicted on me, or perhaps when I did something wrong. It's not the correct way of correcting children. But as to go back to God, Christianity, you'll see what God will do for this land. Let's go back to God.
Sawubona kaMasinga, this is Sipho Mdletshe, trucker. Yes, ababuyise mthandazo ekoleni. That would be very, very, very good because prayer, it does chase away all those evil spirits that are roaming around. You see, yeah. But on corporal punishment, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but prayers, please. Prayers should be returned to schools. Yes, I do support that. Sipho Mdletshe here, trucker.
Sisi, enye into futhi yipho nje wena ingane yomlungu oseke wezwa kuthiwa ishawe uthisha-ke at least noma uthisha wephoni noma uthisha womuntu omnyama yashawa nje just ukuthi ifakwe emgqeni. Yazi ukuthi leyo thisha angaboshwa izandla ney'nyawo aphelele umsebenzi. Labo thisha bayeka ukushaya iy'ngane zethu singenzani iy'limi as if manje mhlampe futhi psychologically fanele bayohlola othisha cause bayadata baxabane nabantu bafike ey'koleni be-angry ukudinwa umkhwenyana wakhe udinwe unkosikazi wakhe so please.
So-called corporal punishment, that does it only apply now? You guys, you want it in township school or even model C schools and private schools? Because in the township schools, you've got teachers that are very abusive.
It's always interesting to hear your perspective when it comes to family meetings, which is why we have them, because we all, we all approach things very differently and we all take away from things different elements. And I think just to reiterate, Dr. Zugile Luyenge, he did emphatically say that when it comes to corporal punishment, he's not suggesting a return to corporal punishment in schools. So he's not suggesting a return to physical punishment in schools. He's rather talking about the South African prison system and how lenient it is on sentenced individuals. So calling on a bringing back of things like the death penalty, for instance, as the harshest form of punishment, for the harshest crimes that are committed in society. Interestingly enough, when we have this conversation, and I think it was a few years ago when Aldrin was still here, that they had a conversation around, do the stats back up the use of a death penalty in any society? And in overwhelming data, and I could stand to be corrected, but from my recall, overwhelming data spoke to the fact that in societies where there was a death penalty, it wasn't directly linked to the behaviors of that society in terms of the levels of criminality, the levels of corruption. It wasn't necessarily a deterrent. And I also don't know how it works. You can school me on this. How it works in terms of proposing the coming back of a death penalty. For instance, I think there needs to be a referendum of sort that needs to be put forward. So it's not a snap decision, but he definitely was not speaking on corporal punishment of children. But in as far as schools is concerned, he was speaking about bringing back Christian value elements into the school. And in his last thoughts, saying that not just the 5-minute prayer, We had to chuckle in studio. We were chuckling at our one listener who was trying to figure out when we say Guti Art the father, who's Artie, and have we found the father? Most of us grew up saying our father, depending on when you went to school. We used to say that prayer at assembly, our Father who art in heaven. Weirdly enough, I've forgotten half of it. If you had to ask me to recite it now, I've forgotten half the prayer. But he was speaking to a return to Christian values just in the scholastic system. 10 to 2 o'clock, time for us to get into Kids Corner, which will run us to the top of the hour. If we do find a minute or two on the other side, there are some voice notes as well that speak to Madlanga. We'll try and use those just before Madlanga comes back from their lunch break.
You are listening to The Full Circle. This program is brought to you by SABC Education, enriching minds, enriching lives.
Hello friends, and welcome to another exciting episode of Kids Corner. Welcome back to school. We hope you're feeling refreshed and ready to learn. During the holidays, how much time did you spend on screens like phones, TV, or games? What do you enjoy doing the most on screens? Watching, playing games, or learning something new? Why do you think it's important not to spend too much time on screens? What other fun things can you do instead of being on screen all day? How can you make sure you use screens responsibly and still have time for homework, play, and rest? Alright friends, let's hear from some of our friends while you share your answers with the people next to you.
Hi, my name is Tandoretsuma PK. I'm 11 years old and I go to Nova Pioneer Ramsar. During the school holidays, I spend about 2 hours on my device. On my phone, I mainly enjoy watching the Squid Game challenges. If not, I also enjoy watching Family Reunion. I think it's important to not spend a lot of time on our devices because we can get addicted to that, and we also need to set our minds onto getting addicted to, like, not like really addicted, getting to get used to other things, not only to our devices and technology. I think we can play outdoor activities because we can't stay on our devices that long, especially with this AI situation. And we can also do like nice board games for indoor activities. I think we should spend our time about with our devices and other activities. Thank you.
Good day, my name is Apel Mpembe and I am 9 years old. I usually spend most of my day on screens such as my phone, TV, and games, but it depends on the day and what else I'm doing. I enjoy playing games the most, but also I like watching cool videos and learning new things. It's important to not spend too much time on screens because spending too much time on screens isn't good for your eyes and you might miss out on other fun activities. Other fun things I do instead of being on a screen all day, I play outside or go swimming, read books, draw, or play board games with my family. I can make sure I use screens responsibly and still have time for other fun activities by setting up a timer to remind me when it's time to take a break and make a list of other fun activities I want to do each day. Thank you.
Greetings to you all. My name is Elanda Mzobe. I am 12 years old. During the holidays, how much do I spend time on screens like phones, TV, or games? I usually spend time on my phone almost like the whole day. Something that I enjoy doing the most on screens, I usually like to chat with my friends, play game, watch TikTok, and take pictures of myself and being more confident and so forth. I think it is important to spend too much time on screens even during holidays because you might learn more interesting and new things that can best up your mind and make it more interesting. Other fun activities you can do instead of being on screen all day, you can play with your friends, exercise. I was gonna say sleep, but that could make you very lazy. Yeah, there are a lot of things that you can do. How can you make sure you use screens responsibly and still have time for other activities? Don't use screen a lot of time, like almost the whole day. You might, for example, use screen time in the morning to maybe from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. Then from 10 o'clock you do some fun activities. Then when you feel like you're done, you go back to your phone. But it's not right to be on screen for a long time because it could cause eye damage and many things, especially when you like screen at night. Thank you everyone. I hope you have a wonderful day and you learn something from
Dear,
this.
my name is Progression Pembe. I am 11 years old. During the holidays, I spend most of the day on screens, phones, TV, or games, but I try to balance it with other activities. On screens, I enjoy watching YouTube shows and learning new things, like exploring fun educational videos or tutorials. It's important not to spend too much time on screens, even during holidays, because too much screen time can be unhealthy for my eyes and body. It's good to have a variety of activities. Other fun things I do instead of being on a screen all day is to read books, go outside to swim, do arts and crafts, and spend my time with my friends and family. To make sure I use screens responsibly and still have time for other activities, I set a scheduled time limit, use timers to remind me to take breaks, and plan my day to include different activities. Thank you.
Today, I'll be talking about reducing screen time. Yes, I do have a phone and a laptop. My parents control my phone and laptop usage. I use my laptop for schoolwork, then I use my phone for games. Yes, I do believe that being on a phone and tablet can be harmful to children, especially if you have social media platforms like TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Cyberbullying would also be the biggest problem because kids do a lot these days. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you have a great day further on. Goodbye.
Thank you, friends. It's always great to hear from you. And to our friends listening, I hope you shared your answers with the people next to you. Now that schools are officially reopened for the second term, it's a good time to reflect on how the holidays were spent, especially when it comes to screen time. During the holidays, many children spend more time on phones, TV, or games, which can be fun and relaxing after a busy school term. Watching shows, playing games, or even learning something new online can be enjoyable and sometimes educational. However, it's important to think about how much time is spent on screens. While screens can be entertaining, too much screen time can make it harder to focus, affect sleep, and reduce time for other more important activities like playing outside, reading, or spending time with family. This is why balance is very important even during the holidays. There are many other fun and meaningful things you can do instead of being on screens all day. Activities like playing outside, riding a bike, reading storybooks, drawing, helping at home, or playing games with friends and family are not only fun but also help the physical health, creativity, and social skills. These activities allow us as children to grow, learn, and stay active. Using screens responsibly means setting limits and making time for other activities. For example, children can decide to use screens only after finishing chores or homework, or for a certain amount of time each day. Taking breaks, avoiding screen times before bedtime, and choosing educational or positive content are also good habits. As the new school term begins, it's important to get back into balanced routine, one that includes learning, rest, play, and limited screen time. When we manage our time well, we feel more focused, energetic, and ready to do our best at school. In the end, screens are not that bad, but how we use them matters. By making smart choices and creating balance, we can enjoy technology while still growing, learning, and living a healthy, active life. That's it for today, friends. See you next time.
This program was brought to you by SABC Education, enriching minds, enriching lives.
Top stories: Asawa MPs question deployment of the SANDF on the Cape Flats and a central database for whistleblowers. Good afternoon. I'm Jolani Tulo Wepe. Some members of Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Police have questioned whether the deployment of the SANDF on the Cape Flats is intelligence-driven and whether there is an operational plan in place. This as at least 8 people were killed and 5 injured this past weekend. The Army has been deployed to the Cape Flats for about 2 weeks as part of Operation Prosper. DAMP Lisa Scherkeling says the recent spate of shootings questions whether intelligence is informing the deployment.
The deployment of the Army appears uncoordinated and potentially ineffective in the current form. Dozens of shootings continue despite the presence of soldiers on the ground. The real issue is that the operation is not sufficiently intelligence-led or prosecution-driven. A force multiplier can only work if there is a strong policing foundation, and that is exactly where the SAPS is currently falling short.
Action SA MP Dereline James has added that they will write to the Acting Police Minister Firoz Kachalia to get feedback on the operational plan and what could possibly be revised.
It's been business as usual on the Cape Flats. It's just this morning a 5-year-old was shot through his head. The deployment surely has not basically given us a single night of peace on the Cape Flats.
2017. Thank you. Initially, I think we agreed that for this tender, one of the companies that had been, just to use the word, appointed was Gubis Security Solutions. What my concern, or what I need to probe with you, is work that was allocated to them on or about January or during January 2025. Yes. Can you turn to file 2, page 283? Are you there? I am there, Conference. So you'll see there that is a notification of deployment or for deployment that is addressed to the directors of Gubis 85 Security Solutions. See that? I can see it. And you see that this was signed for by Mr. A.L. Piri. Yes, I can see that. Who is an inspector for Assets Protection Services. Correct. At the time. Yes. And then these are up from page 283, just to avoid any just being tedious. These are same other notices of deployment that were signed by him. I think there's just 2 that were not signed by him. I'll just get back to those. But what I want to probe is just remind us, where does Mr. Piri fit in the command and in relation to you within TMPD?
Thanks, Commissioner. Mr. L.A. Piri is an inspector within the Asset Protection Services. He is working directly under command and control of Dr. Elvis Marihlaba. Dr. Elvis Marihlaba. He reports and he accounts to Dr. Elvis Marihlaba. Dr. Elvis Marihlaba, in terms of the structure, he reports to Reginald Mahlangu, even though he is assigned a duty to be responsible for Asset Protection Services operations.
Thank you. If you may go to page 300. This is another notification for redeployment. So the others are notification for deployment, but I don't know why this one is redeployment. But what we see there is, again, it's directed to Kubis, and then Dr. Marihlaba is the one citing. Is it the same Marihlaba you are referring to?
Correct, Commissioner.
Okay. Now, I want to just check something with you, or probe something with you. In terms of the powers or the responsibilities that Mr. Piri has, is he empowered to allocate or deploy services or allocate sites?
He is not, Commissioner, empowered to allocate sites.
Okay. And we've had evidence from other persons like Commissioner Faro, Deputy Commissioner Spies and Polis, that indeed he was not so authorized.
Yes.
You confirm that. Okay, I don't need to go there. Now, were you aware of these deployments?
I was not aware of this deployment, but at the time when it happened, I must inform the Commissioner that I became aware of deployments involving Gubis late in 2024, around December. When I received a call from Gubis, and the call was about them complaining that they have been rendering ad hoc services. It's almost 7 months. They have not been paid. And I asked the caller as to which ad hoc services are you talking about? How did it happen that you are involved in ad hoc services, right? And you do not get paid, yet from where I am sitting, every service provider who is involved in ad hoc services, which were processed procedurally and formally, right, is not complaining about payments, because the the ad hoc services are paid from the department that has requested those services. And his explanation was that, yes, when they instructed us to deploy on the sites, they informed us that they are going to pay for the services. And I posed a second question to the caller. Then why did you not make my office aware, right, of these deployments? He said, no, we took it light because the Department of Water and Sanitation sent us letters to deploy, and they said they are going to pay for those services, right? And during that discussion, there was no mention. I was not aware of the sites in question, the number in question, but I was made aware that those sites are many. And you are saying, we have now taken the matter up with the office of the CFO in order to try and get this issue resolved, right? And I said to him, look, from where I am sitting, you are aware that these ad hoc services were not they were not given to you procedurally. And you are making, of course, my life very difficult to introduce me at the end when there are problems, but nevertheless, since I'm responsible for the function, right, I am going to inquire about this ad hoc services. I'm going to establish how it came about, who instructed you guys to deploy, and so forth and so on. So when time goes on, indeed.
Apologies. When is this call? You said in December 2024.
It was in December 2024, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thereafter, from January, February, March, there were interactions between my office and Kubis, including the Department of Water and Sanitation, around these ad hoc services. And it was during those interactions that, yes, it was said by Water and Sanitation Department officials that no, we were we were going to pay for these ad hoc services, but something happened, the budget is not allowing. Then the question was, but guys, you know there is communication citywide, which communication says when there is a request for ad hoc services to be deployed, such a request should be directed to my office so that I can make sure due diligence is done. And for the purpose of the commission, due diligence, I meant the requesting department would send me an email, for example, requesting ad hoc services. I would acknowledge receipt of this email and go back to them to say, colleagues, from which vote number are you going to pay this? They would then come back to me, provide me with the vote number, GL account number, from which they will be paying for the services. And thereafter, I would then instruct the office of Dr. Madlanga, right, to go and conduct security risk assessment on the site and or sites to which ad hoc security services are required. They would go, they would come back, then I would then say, we need to allocate the company that is going to be able to execute and or perform these functions, and we take it from there. So once we have agreed, we then get the quotation from the company in question, and we send it to the requesting department for them to approve. When they have approved, then we deploy. Once we have deployed, it becomes now the responsibility of my office through operational management team under Dr. Madlanga to ensure that they are treating those sites like any other site whereon we have deployed security officers. Unfortunately, Commissioner, in this case, this procedure was not followed. Hence, my statement to say, I knew after a very long time, and part of the communication with them was sent me through details of these invoices and all of that, just for me to be able to know which sites, how many guards were involved and all of that, because since from the beginning I was not either by either by the department concerned or my colleagues. And they shared that information with me, and yes, along the way, discussion about these outstanding invoices, right, was between my office and them, and I became aware that at the executive management, there were discussions, there were meetings, there were emails exchanged, systems, but at that level, I never participated, I was never informed of come on board. Normally, it's my superiors who sit in there. Then they would come back, like they did in respect of these invoices, to say, explain to us how it came about that these ad hoc services were allocated. And in my explanation, I said exactly what I'm telling the commissioner. It was in black and white to my superiors. It started initially with Commissioner, Deputy Chief of Police, Commissioner Bolays, and after Commissioner Spies was appointed, he also requested me for an explanation. The same explanation that I'm giving to the commissioner, I gave it to him. And as I was morning, I would receive emails as part of people who assisted on those emails. Hence, I could see that there was discussion, high-level discussion about these outstanding invoices. There were proposals and or options suggested at that level where I was not invited to make any input. Such emails, unfortunately, due to the fact that I'm not having access to my office, I cannot avail to the commissioner now, but I made a commitment I can avail them as part of my evidence to the commissioner afterwards. Thank you.
Director Malachi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon,
Do you remember what the question was? Do you remember what the question was that Advocate Sikakane asked you?
I thought, okay.
I'm trying to understand what you are answering.
Okay.
Because at one point you spoke about ad hoc services that were procured by other departments. And when invoices came, there was a phone call to you and you knew nothing about that, which is fine. But then halfway through your answer, you were dealing with allocations that were done through your department, and your answer got confusing because we got lost there. So let me ask you this question. Who is authorized in your department to issue the type of letter that you see on page 283? So the notification of deployment letter, who in your department is authorized to issue it?
Primarily, it's myself.
Yes.
Right? It's myself who's authorized, or I can, with instruction, right, allow Dr. Malihlaba or Piri or any other to say, allocate the what?
Now, in January and February 2025, did you issue such an instruction to either Piri or Malihlaba?
I did not, Commissioner.
So when did you first become aware that this allocation letters were given to Gubis 85?
To be quite honest, I don't have the exact date, but it's now recently.
No, it can be now recently because in March 2025 you knew that these letters had been issued.
Okay, thanks.
To Gubis.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Don't thank me. It means you're not answering truthfully. You just said you only learned recently. Yeah. When I corrected you, then you thank me.
Okay.
I want you to concede that on the 12th of March, 2025, you knew that sites had been added for ad hoc services.
Yes, I know. I knew.
Yes. And I don't want to go further ahead because I know Advocate Sikakane is still coming to that part. Okay. I will ask my questions when we get there. But focus on the question that is being asked so that your evidence is structured.
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Mara. Commissioner Kumal. I think we at least we've gotten through the point where we are certain that these notices for deployment, you didn't issue any instruction to either of the individuals. But there are two preceding points that I would like us to go through. One is, how does this ad hoc work? We are getting very sort of not so clear answers about how does it work practically. When does the need arise for ad hoc services outside the normal services? And in relation, my worry is in relation to sites that are already subject to SLAs, how do ad hoc services come in? Can you just explain to me? And obviously this is part of your responsibilities as a manager and as a director for those services.
ad hoc services arise the moment the department realizes that there is a need for security at either of their sides. And they would.
Sorry, which department? Any department within the city?
Any department.
Just give us details properly,
Okay.
yeah.
Any department within the city, the moment it realizes that they need security outside the ones that they are having, right? It becomes ad hoc security services. And they would send a request, or they should send a request to TMPD, my office, right, for those services. And once those services, those requests are received, my office would kickstart the process of making sure that due diligence is done before the actual deployment is effected. So due diligence, Commissioner, would include it would include my office acknowledging receipt. I would instruct the operational team to do the security risk assessment. And once they are done with that, I would identify, right, a need for a GL account from the department to commit that they will be responsible for the payment of that ad hoc security services that they are requesting. And I would go back to them to say, kindly provide GL account from which these services would be paid for the period that you are requesting. They would do that. And also the issue of, we will then get the quotations and get them to sign, approve those quotations. Once this process is done and we deploy, I instruct deployment of the companies identified and approved by the department. I must make a mention that ad hoc services is the responsibility, payment thereof is the responsibility of the department that is requesting ad hoc services.
Thank you. And where you would...
Mr. Malachi, I'm noticing that your afternoon answers are very long. Can you please try to shorten them?
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, Mrs. Kakan.
Thank you, Chair. I'll try to move as well. So you say that in relation to these ad hoc services, well, there was a call with Kubis and yourself.
Yes.
And they were complaining that they had rendered services.
Correct.
Ad hoc services.
Correct, Commissioner. And
out of interest, why was it they were contacting you, your office, out of escalation, or you know them?
I know them like, I know them, they're part of the contracted security service, and yes, I know them.
And who in particular were you in a discussion with on this from Kubis?
There is one Mr. Kelvin Madlanga, I think he's the director of Kubis Security Solutions.
Okay. And when there were complaints around that Did they submit invoices to you or timesheets of the work that they did? Or did you ask for a report?
I asked for the report.
From whom?
From them through him to say, in order for me to be familiar with this, I would need evidence, facts pertaining to the deployment sheets, the sites, and who requested you guys to deploy on those sites and the like. The entire information was submitted to my office.
And did you request internal reporting? That is from your officials now?
To be quite honest, no, Commissioner.
So did you then, how did you ensure that what the information they gave you was accurate?
My focus at the time was to confirm the accuracy of that information. What I did was to check with the department, right? Since they were saying already they are they are complaining to the CFO's office about this. And the department officials confirmed that indeed these allocations were done. That's what I did, yeah.
So I must take it that you did double check and were satisfied that these services were indeed done.
I was confirming, I confirmed the knowledge by that department, right, in terms of deployment, request and to deploy and whatever. That was done by myself. And as to whether the services were done, yes, there was a meeting in which I wanted the company to check, to confirm as to whether they did render the services. And yes, they confirmed that internally they had their guys monitoring to ensure that those sites are manned. And at some point they were even confirming with me that from asset protection services, they were monitoring exercises done on those sites. They produced evidence to that effect.
Okay, so just so that I understand, did you then speak with your team, or you spoke with the department that was requiring services to check whether the services were rendered?
I spoke with my team. We were meeting regularly about this, and they were confirming that indeed, yes, these services are in place, and they were saying to me they are monitoring, right, the deployment of this, the guards on those specified sites. That's what I've done with my team.
Do you recall earlier on you said you didn't get a report from your team?
No, I meant, Commissioner, yes, I recall I said I didn't get a report from my team, right? I meant prior to me knowing about this deployment. My team members did not talk about it.
Okay, so you were satisfied that these deployments were done?
I was satisfied because both the department and my team members confirmed that indeed these guys were deployed. Yes, I was satisfied.
Just to round up on just on this point, would you be able to get confirmation or evidence of that or a report from your team and emails?
I should be able to get it. I should be able to get it.
Okay, please note it as part of what needs to be done. Then, if we're still at page 283, are you there?
I am.
Thank you. Now, I've been going through these, but what's peculiar to me is how does these deployment work? These ones are signed or issued on 14 January 2025.
Okay.
You see that? So the one that you were having a discussion with Gobes, which ones were those?
I'm not in a position to specify. They were the whole lot of it, a lot of them. They were the whole lot of them. So I am unable to say to the commissioner whether this was part of them, and also I looked at it from an overview point of view.
And obviously, with these notices for deployment, I would presume they work forward, not backwards, as an instruction. So meaning using the process you're detailing, you would get an email from a department that they need a service,
Yes.
and then later on, you then issue an instruction for deployment.
Yes.
Now, would you accept that these ones, on the face of them, it would not have been the ones that you were talking about? Because that one, you were talking about other ad hoc services prior to 14 January 2025.
I agree.
But let's just get this clear. The ones you were discussing with Gubis in 2024, was there a notification for deployment in any of those which was issued by an employee of your department?
Not that I was aware of at that point in time.
So the notifications that you saw or you obtained from Gubis when you were doing your investigation, who had signed them? The deployment letters.
Part of the evidence that Gubis presented to me included correspondence, email correspondence between the department officials and Gubis themselves. That was part of the evidence.
So then why did Gubis come to you to complain about non-payment? If they were deployed by a customer department and the notification of deployment was issued by a customer department, why was Gubis coming to your department to complain about payment?
I wouldn't know, Commissioner, but I think they realized that whatever they were promised would happen was not happening. And as they knew the procedure, right, they thought Director Malachi would be able to help us get paid.
Because it seems to me that the only reason Gubis would come to you is because they were armed with letters from your department that deployed them. Because if the letters had been issued by a customer department within the city of Tshwane, then they would have gone to the people who issued the letters to say, pay our invoices. There would have been no reason for Gubis to come to you or your department to complain about non-payment if you did not deploy them.
I agree with you, Commissioner.
Yeah, but if you agree with me, then your answer does not make sense. Why did Gubis come to you to complain about non-payment? And why did you proceed to investigate those allocations if they were not authorized by your department? Because all you needed to say was, my department did not allocate ad hoc sites to you. Go to the person who allocated ad hoc sites to you.
Commissioner, in the process of us discussing this thing, right? It was my office with GUIS, it was my office with the department that allocated ad hoc services to GUIS, right? And I think they came to me. The reason for them coming to me is because they were not winning with the department. As it was said, the department promised to pay for those services. And at the same time, they were not getting what they hoped to get in the office of the CFO, right? They were like, Director Malachi, what do we do? Hence, I was on record to say to them, guys, you ignored the process, and you chose to do what you did. And now, afterwards, you are coming to me, right? So, I believe that part of the reason would be they believed, no, Director Malachi will help because they got these deployment letters in their possession, you see? Something that I was not aware at that point in time, that they've got this deployment letter signed by officials from my office.
The new deployment letters.
Come again?
When you say they came to you because they were armed with these deployment letters from your office, you are now talking about the 2025 deployment letters.
I'm talking about deployment letters pertaining to the outstandings that we spoke about in December, right? And yes, I would also, in the same breath, right, talk to the one that it's attached here as evidence of January 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Skakal.
Can I just follow up on that? With the December one, you say it's the Department of Water and Sanitation that had said to them they should deploy additional security.
Yes, I'm saying that.
You agree? That's a December one. It's Department of Water and Sanitation.
Yes.
And your department.
Yes.
So it's in fact your department. The Water and Sanitation Department identified the need, maybe spoke to Gubis, but your department did the deployment letter.
Yes, they signed the deployment letter.
So it's your department. It's not Water and Sanitation that appointed them. It is in fact your department because your department issued the deployment letter.
Yes, Commissioner.
Okay. So your department was responsible to ensure, having issued the deployment letter, your department was responsible to ensure that they get payment, right?
Yes.
The way that you're explaining how it works.
Okay.
is there anything that was done wrong in that deployment, the December? We're talking about the December one, where your department issued a letter. Was there anything wrong done with that deployment?
Commissioner, the December issue was, as I indicated earlier on, I received this call in December, and they were saying they are owed. It's almost 7 to 8 months, right? And I am saying yes, with regard to those invoices, which will also include the January invoices, right?
No, if you got a call in December, it doesn't include the January
Okay, it's
invoices.
fine.
So let's stick to 2024 for now.
Okay.
You get a call in December, and it's about non-payment for the past 8 months, you say. And you say the department that requested that service was water and sanitation.
Yes.
And that's ad hoc services.
Yes.
Okay. And your department issued the deployment letter.
Yes.
For those months.
Yes, in terms of that.
Yes. So my question is, with all of that, is there anything that was done wrong by your department when it issued the deployment letter?
Yes, because due process was not followed.
Which is what?
Which
What is
is
the due process?
to ensure that when there is a request for ad hoc services, we do security risk assessment, we confirm with the department requesting the services that they are going to pay for the services so requested. We go further to confirm with the department the vote number, right? The vote number from which they would be paid, so that once the deployment is done, we don't have a situation where after the fact we are asking ourselves who's going to pay. By the way, ad hocs would not be, under normal circumstances, would not be paid from normal annual operational budget of my department.
So you say all of that was not done. You found those processes were not followed. As the director of the department, did you do anything about the fact that processes were not followed, or you just facilitated payment to be made and that was the end of the matter?
What I did was to interact and liaise with a view to determine all of these things is fine. But in terms of maybe taking disciplinary action against my officials, that I did not do at the time, and I take responsibility for not having done that.
Why? Why did you not do it?
No, I think, Commissioner, time was not just allowing for me to, immediately after I became aware, right? Even my seniors, right, were aware, because this thing was already at the office of the CFO, right? And at that level, interaction was happening between my office, office of the CFO and office of the Chief of Police. At the same time, the office of the Chief of Police was investigating this thing. Hence, an instruction came to me by Deputy Chief Commissioner Paul Hayes to say, there is this issue of ad hoc services. Kindly explain why these things had happened unapproved, and then which sides were involved and all of that. So it took me time trying to get the information together. This could have affected my thinking to contemplate. We're focused on this because there was too much noise. And so I'm saying for my office not to take responsibility against these implicated officials, I personally take responsibility.
Yeah.
It was not right.
I'm not at this point asking you to take responsibility for it. I'm asking you, why did you not hold the person responsible? I mean, if this was done effectively and lawfully, according to you, because it doesn't comply, or irregularly at the very least, irregular because it doesn't comply with the ways of doing things, you find out in December, you're suspended in July, I think you said to us.
Yes.
So you had a good 7 months to take disciplinary action against a subordinate, and you did not. And in January, we now have Mr. Malaji, Mr. Piri signing further documents, maybe because no action is ever taken. Maybe precisely because you don't do anything when you become aware in 2024 about the 2024 ones. You don't do anything about it. It sends a message to Mr. Piri and others that this is okay to do. You can do this and get away with it. And so there's more to it than I take responsibility for doing nothing. It is perhaps you abetted, consciously or unconsciously, you abetted this kind of conduct where things like this are done, money is paid, and there's absolutely no consequence for it. And then a Piri does this in January and February. You still don't act about it if you ever become aware of it. But maybe that's why he does it in January. It's because you've signaled as head that there will be no consequence to this kind of thing.
Commissioner, at a point when this issue was raised, my focus was on getting to understand. I got to understand, whilst understanding, there were requests from above to say instructions, please give us explanation. And I did give explanation. And yes, I do not want to say to the commissioner, it was right for me not to take steps, right? And further, I think it was wrong of my colleague to continue doing something that by the time, by January, for example, they were aware that what has happened the previous year was wrong, and they continued doing it.
What was it? Let me ask maybe one last question. For those previous months where you say things were not done properly, who in your department gave those deployment letters? Was it Mr. Piri again?
Yes, I understand it's Mr.
So
Piri.
even for the 2024 ones, it was Mr. Piri?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Just one thing from me. When you finished the investigation in relation to the December ad hoc allocations, and you formed a view that those allocations were irregular, why did you not stop them then? Why did you allow them to continue? Why did you not instruct that all ad hoc allocations stop pending the finalization of an investigation?
It came to my realization, Commissioner, that though this was irregular. There were already discussions at the top, which involved executive members, right? And it was not easy for me, right, knowing that even my superiors are aware of this. I remember in one email, I even suggested to my superior that maybe we should come together, have a discussion around this thing.
Continue.
I even suggested to my superior that in response to his request for the background, right, maybe we should come to a table to have a discussion around this anomaly. But nevertheless, at the end of the day, I did what he was requesting me to do, being to provide them with information. But now the question is, why did I not stop?
Yes, that's the question. Why did you not stop it? Because you could have, you are the head of this department. Why did you not stop? You become aware in 2024 that ad hoc deployments are being done irregularly. And they are costing the city of Tshwane millions of rands, millions. And you do nothing about it. You don't stop them, you allow them to continue. And my question is, why did you not stop them? And it can be an answer to say there were discussions about non-payment of invoices. There should not have been invoices to begin with because those allocations were done irregularly.
Commissioner, from the explanation, actually, let me not say that. I did not, as I did not, right? I found it not difficult per se, but I would say my mind and any other one's mind, including my colleagues at the top, right? That discussion was that discussion was not at the fore at that point in time, right? Hence, it came at a later stage that this should be cancelled and you see, so it was.
Director Malachi, you're not answering the question. Why did you not stop it? You don't have an answer. You don't know why you did not stop it. I want to move on to the 12th of March when you were given an instruction, page 241 of that bundle. Page 241 of file 2. Are you there?
I am there.
So if you start at 244, you will see that the chief of the police becomes aware that their ad hoc services, they are not approved, and then gives an instruction. So on 243, there's an email of 12 March 2025 at 16:04. Do you see that in the middle of the page? 243.
243.
The email of 1604 on 12 March 2025. Commissioner Spies has now been given an instruction, and he says, who approves and mandates ad hoc security services? Who decides to give this instruction? Who decided to give instruction for this, and how is this process managed? And then it continues to the next page. Ball Hayes is asked, who approved? But the instruction to you is on page 241, top of the page. This is addressed only to you. And you are now given a clear instruction that you must stop deployment of all ad hoc guards with effect from tomorrow morning. In other words, with effect from the 13th of March 2025. But you did not do that. You didn't comply with this instruction. Why?
It was not possible, Commissioner, to stop deployments of all ad hoc guards. I'm saying it was not possible because it is not all ad hoc security services, right, that were having problems with payment. Other ad hoc security services allocated to other departments, right, they did not have a problem. Now, I had a problem with the instruction being cancel them all. I had a problem with that.
So you refused to comply with this instruction?
No, I did not.
Did you comply with it?
No, I did not cancel them all. I did not comply.
Did you cancel any? Even the irregular ones? Did you cancel the irregular ones?
They were ad hoc services.
Director Malachi, did you cancel ad hoc deployments that were irregular after this instruction was given to you?
I requested Commissioner Spies to put it in writing.
This is in writing.
Yes.
This is in writing to you. It's an instruction to you. You are the head of this department. Did you already knew in December that some of the ad hoc deployments were irregular?
Yes.
When I asked you earlier, why did you not cancel them? You said there were discussions with your superiors.
Yes.
And that was your excuse. Yes. Now, 2-3 months later, your superiors are giving you a direct instruction to cancel these deployments. And you did not do so because you say you had a problem with it. In other words, you were happy for the city of Tshwane to continue incurring irregular expenditure.
It is not correct, Commissioner. I was not happy. I am not happy. This irregular ad hoc services, right? The Commissioner must appreciate that. They were initiated by Water and Sanitation.
But they don't have authority. You've just said only you can do that. The
I
proper
agree.
process is that you must do that.
I agree.
Now, your superior, the Deputy Chief of Police, on the instructions of the Chief of Police, instructs you to cancel all ad hoc guards with effect from tomorrow morning. You say, I'm not going to do that because I have a problem with the instruction.
No, not necessarily. Commissioner, I'm being honest. I've not said I will not do that. I remember
So let me cut you short. Which one did you cancel? Which deployment did you cancel after this instruction?
There was no one that I cancelled. But from Commissioner
No,
Spies,
I didn't ask for buts. I asked you which did you cancel, and you say you did not cancel any deployment.
Correct.
So you did not comply with this instruction in its entirety.
yes, because this instruction, in my view, right, was inclusive of those that did not have a problem, right? I'm aware that the Commissioner is saying, what about this that were allocated irregularly, right? I think there I had an oversight, but...
No, but why is it an oversight if there's a clear instruction? An oversight is something that you overlook. Here, it's a direct instruction to you from your superior, and you disobeyed that instruction. And the city continued. I mean, these invoices, it was 14 million every month. that the city continue to incur? I'm only talking about Gobis. I'm not even referring to other ones. You knew that they were not regularly given, and your superiors say to you, cancel them tomorrow. When you were suspended 4 months later, you still had not cancelled any of them.
I agree because, Commissioner, bear with me. When these ad hoc services were dished out, right? They were dished out by Water and Sanitation Department with the understanding between them and the service provider that they would pay from them. So, though my explanation will not hold water, right? The bottom line is, maybe if the Commission gives me an opportunity to go and check in my record the response that I gave to Commissioner Space. It is not true that I blatantly refused to carry out his instruction, right? But it is true that as we went along, what transpired is that he ended up identifying COBIS, Triotic, Mogalagali security services, and those ad hoc services were terminated. I am the one who called them into a meeting. Actually, I'm the one who drafted a letter for him to sign, and I called them into a meeting, right? I handed those letters of cancellation over to the 3 companies.
And that was what, 4 months later?
It was around, yes, it could be around more.
Let me help you go to 246.
246.
And that was on the 24th of June, 2025.
Yes.
Do you see that?
Yes, I can. I see.
Yes. And yet you say, at the time that you did not immediately comply with the instruction, which was for you to terminate the ad hoc services, the very following day being the 13th of March, 2025. I'm looking at page 241, the email from Deputy Chief Spies. You say your only problem at that stage was that the instruction was inclusive of ad hoc assignments or allocations, in respect of which there were no problems. Did I understand you correctly?
Yes.
So you must have been aware as early as at the time you knew that the instruction was inclusive of these other allocations, as to which ones those were. Or it should, at the very least, have been a matter of relative ease for you to identify which ones did not have any problems. Not so?
It's so, Commissioner.
And so why would it have taken you from 12 March 2025 to 24 June 2025 before you could comply with the instruction?
Commissioner, I still maintain that I exchanged communication with Commissioner Ribospis from this date in the run-up to when the cancellation was effected. So
Remember you agreed when Commissioner Kumalo was engaging you that this issue was something that you were engaging in with others as early as December of the previous year. You remember you said so in response to a question by Commissioner Kumalo.
I do, Commissioner.
Now, surely, if your view was that there were no problems at all with some of these entities, as early as December of the previous year, you should have been beginning to see which ones have no problems at all and which ones do have problems as early as December of the previous year. Maybe even that is kind to you.
Commissioner?
Not so.
So, Commissioner.
It is so.
Yes.
So now eventually, in March, 12th of March 2025, you get a direct categorical instructions, terminate these with effect from tomorrow, which was the 13th of March 2025. Why did you not do that in respect of those companies that you saw no problems, or rather, in respect of those companies that certainly had problems, or in respect of which there were issues? Why did you not do it on the 13th of March 2025?
Commissioner, I'm aware that there were discussions around payment of these companies, okay?
No, Mr. Malachi. The issue could not have been around payment. The issue was around the propriety of the allocations. It was not about payments. The issue with regard to the instruction, terminate these, it was not really about payments.
I agree with you.
So why do you bring in the question of payments?
No, I was trying to make the commissioner aware that maybe the reason why I could not comply with the instruction at that point in time, it was as a result of communications that I was monitoring, communications.
What communications?
There were email communications involving my supervisor, Commissioner Spies, and others. But now, I might have made a mistake.
The content of which, or rather, what was the content of those communications? What were the communications about?
The communications were about paying for these services, right? And participants were suggesting.
But could you not have terminated the service and sorted out the question of payment later? Why must the services continue, piling up the need for more payments? That doesn't make sense to me. Why not terminate immediately and sort out payment where payment was indeed due? Sort that out later.
I think, Commissioner, like I said, that could have been, actually has been an oversight on my part.
A serious oversight, a serious oversight. Do you agree?
I agree.
Commissioner.
To that it's actually it's more serious than an oversight, because we know that in January and February, when PIRI issues these deployment letters, which you have already admitted he didn't have that kind of authority, and he didn't get that authority delegation from you. You never delegated him to do that. We know that in January and February, he caused an expense of 14 million rand just goobies. I think it's just goobies, the 14 million or 12 goobies. It's 2 million rand, which is not, in the circumstances, is not a big difference. But he cost that much when in December already, you were in a position to give him instruction not to issue any deployment letters further. You were in a position in December to give a directive to the departments that all requests must come through you or you must be copied. You were in a position to do that, and you did not. You failed to do that. And I want to put this to you, that in fact, you were the effective cause of that 14 million rand expense of January and February, because you chose not to stop Piri, not to instruct him to stop any further letters of deployment for ad hoc services. You chose not to tell departments to direct their requests to you. You chose not to tell the service providers that all instructions must come through you, or they must confirm with you that it is approved. All of that as head of department was within your power, and just you alone. You had that power to do all of that. You failed. As a result, the municipality, because of Piri, incurred a 14 million rand expense. And I don't think you should calmly sit there and say it's an oversight. I think you should take full responsibility for that expense, because it was well within your powers to avoid it, and you dismally failed, either because you chose to look the other way and not stop it when you knew you had the power to stop it, or you were grossly negligent not to stop it. It's not oversight. I don't know if you want to comment, but the sum of what I'm saying is you are responsible for that irregular expenditure of 14 million rand.
Commissioner, I think given the way things have transpired, at the end, yes, but I want the Commissioner not to lose sight of the fact that there is a department that which irregularly from the beginning, right, ignored the instruction, right, the instruction that the city has issued to all group heads in the city of Tshwane, to the effect that every ad hoc security services request should be directed to Asset Protection Services, TMPD. Therefore, I don't think it would be fair for the Commissioner to put all of these things squarely on my shoulders, yet I am not the cause of the problem. I happened to be in the bandwagon because I had a responsibility, something that I accept. But in terms of the cause of the problem, the department said they would avail funds to pay for these services. And the department went further to instruct Kubis to deploy security officers on sites that they identified themselves, right? Which is not wrong because it is their site. But now, at that point in time, right, I was not involved. I was not aware.
You see, if your department did not issue a deployment letter, if Mr. Piri did not issue a deployment letter, maybe let me ask you the question, rather a question. If Mr. Piri had not issued a deployment letter, would Gobis have been at the site without a deployment letter from you? Because I've looked at your service level agreement. It provides for contact people. It says you may be given, you may be asked to do certain things, but it must be in writing, right? So I've seen that in your service level agreement. Had your department and PIRI not issued a deployment letter, would there be an obligation on the department on the city, in fact, to pay for services that are done when Gubis doesn't have a deployment letter?
The answer is yes, Commissioner. Yes, Commissioner.
Yes.
Right? Because the information that which I do not have at my disposal now, right? But I'll talk to that information for the information of the Commissioner, is that the department instructed Kubis to deploy security, ad hoc security services on sites that they have identified.
Let me read for you 8.2 of your service level agreement. It says, should it be necessary, the city may request the service provider to provide it with such additional services, which once agreed upon by the parties, which agreement shall not be binding until reduced to writing.
Yes.
So, your service level agreement tells the service provider that you have to have something in writing, which constitutes an agreement between us and you. PIRI issues a deployment letter, which is signed by PIRI and by the service provider. So there is an agreement, right, between the city and the service provider. So what I'm putting to you is, if PIRI had not issued a deployment letter, there would be no written agreement between the city and, in particular, the department that's responsible for administering these agreements, right? There would be no agreement between the service provider and the city. And if Gubis went on to do the work, the city would be able to say, well, we don't have an agreement with you. It would have a defense to that. But PIRI has denied the city that defense. So you can't blame the department. The department requires the service, yes. But you have a service level agreement that says it has to be reduced to writing. And PIRI does exactly that. And my gripe with you, or my issue with you, is, had you stopped PIRI in December, when you became aware that PIRI is a free agent, he goes about doing things that are way above his pay grade, when you became aware of it, had you stopped him, the 14 million rand that was incurred for January and December would not have happened. It wouldn't, as a fact, it would not have happened.
I agree, Commissioner.
Yes, and that's my basis for saying you are responsible for that financial cost to the city, which is caused by PIRI, and you are responsible by omission. You failed to act. And the question is whether, was it deliberate that you don't act when the facts called for you as head of department to act? Did you deliberately hold off and therefore created an environment where PIRI does what he does? Or you were negligent? And if you were negligent, it's grossly negligent, which in fact borders on intention. That's what I'm saying. That's a basis for my saying you are responsible for causing that irregular expenditure. If you want to comment, you can, but that's
No.
what I'm putting to
No,
you.
no
That's
com-
my position about it. All right, thank you.
No comment.
Thank you, Mrs. Kakan.
Thank you, Commissioners. Just on logistics, can I just request 5 minutes or just adjournment? Just there's some logistical issue that I need to address.
Let us adjourn. We'll come back when it's indicated we should.
Thank you.